Hello and welcome to the news from Bahrain International. I am Aisha Ibrahim. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa received at Safriya Palace in the presence of the personal representative of His Majesty the King, His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the head and members of the General Authority of Husseini Processions, and the heads and officials of Matam in the governorates of the Kingdom of Bahrain to greet His Majesty on the occasion of the conclusion of the Ashura commemoration season, where they expressed thanks and appreciation and gratitude to His Majesty for his directives to various government agencies to provide services and facilities which contributed to the success of Ashura. During the reception, His Majesty praised the efforts made by the Jafari Waqf Council and the heads and members of the General Authority of Husseini Processions and those in charge of Matam and their management and organization, noting the cooperation and coordination shown by all with the relevant government agencies. His Majesty expressed thanks and appreciation to all concerned ministries and institutions, particularly the Ministry of Interior and all the directorates of their efforts and providing all security and community facilities and services for rights to ensure their free and orderly practice. His Majesty the King expressed pride in Bahrain's freedom in practicing religious rights without discrimination, noting the peculiarity that the Bahraini society has been known for decades and with which generations have coexisted, represented in its keenness to respect them, their social status and their national cohesion, which is a source of unity in Bahrain. His Majesty added that these distinguished achievements are duties that have been inherited from the forefathers, and they maintain the Bahraini identity and is an appreciation for religious scholars and citizens since ancient times, noting that Bahrain continues its growth in all fields, which stems from the loyalty of its people as they are always keen on doing good deeds, that they draw from the teachings of the true Islamic religion and the spirit of one cohesive family to raise the status of Bahrain in all fields in which the kingdom takes pride. The meeting was attended by the Minister of the Royal Court Sheikh Khalid bin Ahmed Al Khalifa, the Minister of Interior General Sheikh Rashid bin Abdullah Al Khalifa, the Chairman of the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs Sheikh Abdul Rahman bin Muhammad bin Rashid Al Khalifa, the Minister of Public Affairs at the Royal Court Dr. Majid bin Ali Al Naimi, the Minister of Justice, Islamic Affairs and Waqf Nawaf bin Muhammad Al Muawda, and the Minister of Information Dr. Ramzan bin Abdullah Al Naimi. Then poet Muhammad Hadi al-Halwachi recited a poem before His Majesty the King on the occasion.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. خط اليراع من الأبيات ما جملا، خط اليراع من الأبيات ما جملا، في ذكر من باسمه طود الفخار علا، وانساب بحر القوافي في تدفقه شوقا لذكر الذي للخير قد بذلا، ومن أعاد لحلو الشعر رونقه فالشعر في ذكره بدر قد اكتملا، وانداح حرفي على القرطاس منتشيا عذبا فراتا نميرا صافيا عسلا، أعيده كل حين في محبته وأنظم الشعر درا قد زها وحلا، وما ترددت يوما في مدائحه لأن لي نفس حر تعشق النبلا، وما ترددت يوما في مدائحه لأن لي نفس حر تعشق النبلا، قد ابتدى الشعر في طفلا في مرابعه، قد ابتدى الشعر طفلا في مرابعه وعاش حتى استوى في ظله رجلا، فإن على الشيب رأس الشعر من فكر فذلك الشيب تاج باسمه كملا، تطاول الشعر فخرا وارتقى شرفا وجاز واجتاز في عليائه زحلا، فلم أجد لي سوى في ظله دعة، فلم أجد لي سوى في ظله دعة، ولم أجد لي إلا ظله نزلا، لا غروة إن قلت فيه ألف قافية أو قلت في مدحه ما يطرب الغزلا، لي في مديح أبي سلمان مفخرة وكل شعري له أوقفته جملا، لي في مديح أبي سلمان مفخرة وكل شعري له أوقفته جملا، أنشدته لا أبالي في محبته من حاسد جاهل أو عاذل عذلا، فقد تعلمت منه الصدق في لغتي حتى إذا قلت شعرا لم أقل خطلا، ولا تلكأ حرفي إذ نطقت به ما قد علمت بقول يتقي الزللا، ميزان قافيتي في رحب ساحته تراه حتى وإن بالغت معتدلا، ميزان قافيتي في رحب ساحته تراه حتى وإن بالغت معتدلا، فهو الذي خط للعلياء لاحبة ومن به كل معوج قد اعتدلا، وهو الذي قد سعى للخير في دأب ومن على حب فعل الخير قد جبلا، مبادرا لعطاء الخير ما فتئت كفاه تهطل غيثا نافعا خضلا، ولا تأخر يوما عند مسألة ولا تردد إما سائل سألا، ولم أجد منه إلا كل مكرمة وقيمة المرء بين الناس ما عملا، ولم أجد منه إلا كل مكرمة وقيمة المرء بين الناس ما عملا، فهو الكريم الذي أحيت مكارمه من طيب عنصره ما جف أو محلا، بشاشة وسمو طيبة وندى وهمة شرفت تستصغر الجبلا، أحيا مآثر أهل البيت محتسبا في كل عام فأضحى في الندى مثلا، وجاد عن طيب نفس في محبتهم أكرم بمن لبن المختار قد وصلا، وجاد عن طيب نفس في محبتهم أكرم بمن لبن المختار قد وصلا، فللحسين مقام ليس ينكره إلا الذي ضل بين الناس أو جهلا، صبط النبي وشبل الليث حيدرة ذاك الذي في الوغى ما فر أو نكلا، لولا هدى جده المختار ما برحت دنيا الوجود تعيش الجهل والخبلا. لولا هدى جده المختار ما برحت دنيا الوجود تعيش الجهل والخبلا. يا ابن الأكارم من عليا أوال ومن مضى على سنة الأجداد ممتثلا. أولئك الصيد من دانت لهمتهم أعتى الصعاب وخاضوا البحر والوشلا. شادوا على الخير وإصلاح دولتهم حتى استقام لهم بالخير ما عضلا. وورثوا الخير في أبنائهم فغدت بحريننا دار عز قط ما انتقلا. فاقبل فديتك يا مولاي قافية قد اكتست من سنا أمجادكم حللا. دعوتها قبل يوم فهي كامنة في القلب ترتقب اللقيا لكي تصل. ولست أعجب منها إنما عجبي مني لأني بها لم أركب الخيلا. ولا اغتررت ولكن حق لي بكم بأن أكون بما أنشدته جذلا. ولا اغتررت ولكن حق لي بكم بأن أكون بما أنشدته جذلا. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الله يسلمك طويلا.
His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa met with the President of the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Sheikh Abdurrahman bin Mohammed Al Khalifa, the Minister of Interior, General Sheikh Rashid bin Abdullah Al Khalifa, the Minister of Finance and National Economy, Sheikh Salman bin Khalifa Al Khalifa, the Vice President of the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Sheikh Abdul Hussein Khalaf Al Asfour, the Chief of Public Security, Lieutenant General Tariq bin Hassan Al Hassan, the Chairman of the Jafari Endowments Council, Yusuf bin Saleh Al Saleh, and a number of senior officials at Rifa Palace. The meeting took place following the success of this year's Ashura. His Royal Highness highlighted the strength of the kingdom's social fabric derived from its diversity and commitment to peaceful coexistence, in line with the aspirations of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa. He commended the crucial role of the Kingdom of Bahrain's ministries and government agencies played in the success of this year's Ashura, reflecting the national responsibility of Team Bahrain. His Royal Highness also expressed gratitude to the government authorities led by the Ministry of Interior, the Jafari Endowments Council, the General Authority of Husseini Processions, the heads of Matams and the Husseinias, supervising committees and volunteers for their efforts and commitment to facilitating Ashura. The ministers and senior officials expressed their appreciation for the opportunity to meet with His Royal Highness and extended thanks for His Royal Highness's commitment to supporting and ensuring the success of Ashura. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa met with the Under Secretary of the Court of Cassation and Chairman of the Bahrain Pilgrimage Mission, Sheikh Adnan Al Gattan, and members of the High Committee for Hajj and Umrah Affairs at Rifa Palace. His Royal Highness affirmed that serving pilgrims is a great responsibility that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has assumed for many decades with distinguished success. He noted the distinct organization of this year's Hajj pilgrimage and the efforts that have been incorporated to serve the pilgrims and facilitate the performance of their rituals in peace and security. His Royal Highness wished Saudi Arabia further success under the leadership of the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, and the support of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. His Royal Highness commended the role played by the Bahrain Pilgrimage Mission and its relentless efforts to ease the Hajj pilgrimage for citizens and residents, which resulted in Bahrain winning the award for the Best Office for Pilgrim Affairs among 3 countries that received the highest satisfaction rate from their pilgrims for the 1444 Hajj season. As part of a Labbaytum award granted by the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah of Saudi Arabia. His Royal Highness congratulated the Bahrain Pilgrimage Mission on receiving the award and Bahrain's pilgrims on their safe return. He directed the High Committee for Hajj and Umrah Affairs to begin the necessary arrangements in September in preparation for next year's 1445 Hajj season, ensuring they are in line with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's arrangements. Al-Gattan expressed gratitude for the opportunity to meet with His Royal Highness and affirmed Bahrain's pilgrimage mission's ongoing commitment to facilitating the yearly Hajj pilgrimage for citizens and residents with ease and safety. The Minister of Finance and National Economy, Sheikh Salman bin Khalifa Al Khalifa, the Minister of Justice, Islamic Affairs and Waqf, and Chairman of the High Committee for Hajj and Umrah Affairs, Nawaf Al Muawda, and the Minister of Cabinet Affairs, Hamad bin Faisal Al Malki, also attended the meeting. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa met with the newly elected chairman of the Bahraini Journalists Association, Isa Shaiji, and its board members at Rifa Palace. His Royal Highness emphasized the role played by the local press in promoting Bahrain's growth and development through its ongoing efforts to highlight the achievements made through the kingdom's comprehensive development led by His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa. His Royal Highness congratulated the chairman and the board members on winning the elections and serving a new term. He highlighted the importance of the efforts of the local press in their efforts to objective and responsible journalism through publishing articles that raise public awareness across a variety of issues that serve the kingdom and its citizens. His Royal Highness noted that the contributions of the kingdom's journalists as part of Team Bahrain through their efforts in highlighting Bahrain's achievements and successes which reflect positively on the kingdom. He affirmed that the efforts made by the national press and media professionals in supporting the kingdom's advancement is a matter of appreciation and pride. Shaiji expressed gratitude for the opportunity to meet with His Royal Highness, noting his ongoing support of the kingdom's local media and press, which helps the advance the kingdom's aspirations. The Minister of Finance and National Economy, Sheikh Salman bin Khalifa Al Khalifa, and the Minister of Information, Dr. Ramzan bin Abdullah Naimi, also attended the meeting. The chairman of the Bahrain Journalists Association, Isa Shaiji, expressed thanks and appreciation to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister for receiving the association's board of directors. He affirmed that it stems from His Royal Highness's deep appreciation for Bahraini journalists and media figures and reflects the importance of national journalism as a main partner in the comprehensive development process led by His Majesty the King. Shaiji expressed appreciation for His Royal Highness's stances in supporting national press to carry out its duty of spreading awareness in a space of freedom of opinion and expression. He added that Bahraini journalists and media figures achieved major gains in light of His Majesty the King's reform and democratic project, and as a result of the directives of His Royal Highness to adhere to credibility and responsibility and address false and misleading information to maintain the unity of society. The chairman affirmed the association's keenness on protecting the rights of journalists and providing the suitable environment for creativity and innovation in the journalism and media sector. He stressed the importance of protecting the intellectual property of journalism in Bahrain to maintain the efforts of journalists in various fields. He hailed the directives of His Royal Highness to adhere to accuracy and quality according to the highest standards. He affirmed that journalists and media figures pledged to His Majesty the King to become active members in Team Bahrain to continue the march of national journalism and maintain its achievements and gains. The government of the Kingdom of Bahrain is steadily reducing waiting lists of housing applications and providing all solutions that contribute to providing adequate housing for Bahraini citizens. More in this report.
His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister has always expressed the keenness to implement the aspirations of His Majesty the King to prioritize citizens in the various paths of national action. The housing sector is one of the important sectors that receive the support of the government in order to provide adequate housing for Bahraini families. The directive of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister to allocate an additional budget for financing solutions and alternative options for those who have applied for housing units in 2004 and prior will help reduce waiting lists through the options offered by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning. The directive was preceded by several initiatives undertaken by the Government of Bahrain in order to increase the options to meet housing demands, such as the Land Development Rights Program, Tasheel, and the new category of Mazaya, which proved its usefulness in providing housing services to a large number of citizens within a short period of time. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning, in partnership with the private sector, continues to implement many housing projects in various governorates of the kingdom to reduce the lists of housing requests according to well-studied plans. At the end of last month, the Ministry affirmed its keenness on increasing land development projects in the coming years and revealed a plan to construct more than 4,900 housing units in the northern and southern governorates within this project from 2023 to 2026.
The Minister of Works, Engineer Ibrahim Al-Hawaj, made a field visit to Al-Lawzi, where he reviewed the progress of the projects implemented by the ministry to improve the quality of the area's infrastructure and address the issue of rainwater pooling. The minister stated that the ministry is keen on developing sustainable infrastructure solutions in regions affected by rainwater pools by modernizing and developing rainwater drainage networks and providing infrastructure with high specifications to ensure their quality and sustainability. He noted that the short and long-term infrastructure projects are part of the government's efforts to implement strategic plans to keep abreast of ongoing urban development. He was briefed on the implementation progress of the projects, urging those in charge to complete them according to schedule while adhering to security and safety requirements at work sites. The Minister of Youth Affairs, Rawan Tawfiqi, inaugurated the 12th edition of Youth City 2030 at Exhibition World Bahrain in cooperation with the strategic partner Temkeen. More in this report.
Youth City 2030 is a model city that embraces youth with various interests and scientific and academic aspirations, which is considered one of the most prominent pioneering youth initiatives in the Kingdom of Bahrain. This year, Youth City 2030 comes in its 12th edition, providing 2,740 training opportunities to qualify Bahraini youth and provide them with all the capabilities necessary to unleash their creative energies, with the aim of creating qualified Bahraini cadres capable of participating effectively in the comprehensive development process of the Kingdom of Bahrain. Youth City 2030 includes many centers, namely leadership and entrepreneurship, media and entertainment, arts and culture, science and technology, sports and health. The youth of the Kingdom of Bahrain enjoy the interest and support from various parties in implementation of the directives of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and the follow-up of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, who are keen on supporting the youth and providing them with the facilities they need to excel and add to the series of achievements of the Kingdom of Bahrain.
Under the patronage of His Majesty the King Hamad Award for Peaceful Coexistence was launched in a ceremony held in Los Angeles, attended by officials, ambassadors, diplomats, religious leaders, culture and media figures, including former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. The Undersecretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for Political Affairs and the Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the King Hamad Global Center for Peaceful Coexistence, Sheikh Dr. Abdullah bin Ahmed Al Khalifa, delivered a speech in which he conveyed the greetings and appreciation of His Majesty the King for launching the award carrying his name as an exceptional leader with an approach to promote Bahrain as a global center for cultural convergence among followers of different religions and faiths. He affirmed that the award provides an opportunity for the global recognition of efforts that support coexistence and peace. The chairman praised the Bahraini-US ties and their ongoing development in all fields.
We are gathered here tonight to launch a new international award being initiated by the Center and to celebrate a very special story about the nation of Bahrain and our King's vision of religious freedom and peaceful coexistence around the globe. It is fitting that we are in Los Angeles tonight, home to Hollywood, a place that possesses a remarkable ability to craft and disseminate extraordinary narratives. Similarly, within our region, amongst the nations of the Middle East, Bahrain stands as a significant backdrop for a captivating story. This ancient and grand history advocates for diversity, embraces the infusion of cultures, and emphasizes the invaluable pursuit of peaceful coexistence, a prize that often eludes us. In its simplest form, it is the story of how religious freedom and peaceful coexistence have become the central values and tenets of the Kingdom of Bahrain. Tonight, the King Hamad Global Center for Peaceful Coexistence is proud to launch the King Hamad Award for Peaceful Coexistence, an international award that honors unique programs and projects that strengthen Bahrain's vision of religious freedom and peaceful coexistence. The award will be given to an individual or an organization that has embraced King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa's vision of religious freedom and furthers global peaceful coexistence. It will be awarded annually at a special ceremony in Bahrain. Bahrain continues to play a major role in being a place where Muslims, Christians, Jews, Hindus, Baha'is, Sikhs, and Buddhists can worship freely and practice their religion openly. This history has also laid the foundation for an important document issued by the Center, the Kingdom of Bahrain Declaration, officially launched here in Los Angeles in 2017. This declaration guides nations in finding the path to peace and stability and celebrates religious freedom and peaceful coexistence. And today, the Bahrain Declaration remains the foundational document for all the work and educational programs of the King Hamad Global Center for Peaceful Coexistence.
Under the patronage of His Majesty the King Hamad Global Award for Peaceful Coexistence was launched in a ceremony held in Los Angeles. More in this report.
Within the belief of the importance of peaceful coexistence, religious freedom, and consolidating the humanitarian values, the King Hamad Award for Peaceful Coexistence was launched with the aim of enhancing tolerance, coexistence, and acceptance of the other.
We've had great respect for His Majesty. We met with him on many occasions. He's a wonderful person. So we had a wonderful relationship every time, and he's done great things. He was amongst the first to do things in the Middle East that nobody thought of would be possible. The harmony between the Arab world and the Jewish people and the State of Israel, that was all his work. He was a pioneer in that area, and he should be very proud of it.
Launching this award by the King Hamad Global Center for Peaceful Coexistence and This is Bahrain is in honor of the continuous efforts to enhance humanitarian values and coexistence.
Well, we're really thrilled to be back here in this wonderful city of Los Angeles, where This is Bahrain launched the Kingdom of Bahrain Declaration in 2018, and then His Majesty the King created the King Hamad Global Center afterwards. So we're thrilled to be back here this evening again with the Simon Wiesenthal Center, with Chief Rabbi Marvin Heyer, who really praised His Majesty the King and all of His Majesty's sincere commitment to uphold peaceful coexistence and religious freedom for all.
This international award is in honor of those who seek to consolidate peace and enhance humanitarian initiatives that are in line with the efforts of the UN and the international community in combating extremism, terrorism, and discrimination.
It's important to be here in Los Angeles, that it's a very symbolical town where a few years ago was launched the King Hamad Declaration for Peaceful Coexistence, a very important document that was quoted more than once by His Holiness Pope Francis during his visit in Bahrain.
The launching of the award affirms the keenness of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa to spreading peace and peaceful coexistence.
In an exclusive statement for the news center, former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo praised the efforts of Bahrain in consolidating the values of peaceful coexistence all over the world.
Amazing work alongside so many others to build out peace and tolerance and religious freedom throughout the Middle East and throughout the world. And of course, that's an imperative to get that right for all people, to understand that basic human dignity inures to each of us as individuals, and that nations can work, no matter whether they are nations that are made up mostly of Muslims or Christians or Jews, to bring that diversity of religion alongside the central thesis of peace and coexistence is truly a glorious thing.